Hello everyone, welcome back. Today I want to talk about Hollywood gun safety, and the reason why I'm doing this video is because of that terrible accident that happened yesterday where Alec Baldwin accidentally shot and killed one person and wounded another on a filming set. And the question becomes, who's responsible, right? Is the person that handed him the gun responsible? Is the actor himself responsible? Is it the gun's fault? So ultimately it comes down to the person whose hand was on the gun, right? That's the last step before the tragedy happened, right? So that's the last step at which it could have been prevented. So that's kind of where the buck stops, right? You can't pass on that responsibility to somebody else. Now he may not be criminally liable, right? But he has to live with this unfortunate thing that happened. Okay, so what I want to do in this video is discuss ways where this can be prevented in the future. And my solution is that all actors that are involved in acting scenes that involve guns must become gun experts, right? They have to go to places where gun experts are, train with them, and become gun experts themselves. This way, they can check the guns themselves to make sure that they are in fact not real guns or not loaded, or that they're in fact movie props. That is the ultimately that is the only real answer. Okay, so what I have heard a lot of people saying, there's two schools of thought on this. On the one hand, right, since yesterday I've been hearing one school of thought where people are screaming out safety rules, right? Guns got to be in a safe direction, fingers got to be off trigger until you're ready to shoot, treat all guns like they're loaded. Okay, so that's one school of thought. The other school of thought that I'm hearing, that all guns on a filming set should be fake guns, right? They should not be capable of firing. So these are the two extremes that I'm hearing, and neither one of them is good enough, right? Why is neither one of them good enough? Well, here's the thing: if you're filming, right, when you're filming, and you're gonna have a scene where you have one person in this, actually shooting another person for the purpose of the movie. Even if you're using, let's say, a fake gun like this, right? You have to point it at the person in order to make the scene work. Okay, so in that type of scenario, you can't just say always follow the gun safety rules with anything that appears to be a gun, because obviously you're not going to have a movie, right? You'll never have a movie where you have, let's say, good guys shooting bad guys, or bad guys shooting good guys, right? Or bad guys shooting bad guys, whatever, good guys shooting good guys. That's never going to happen. So obviously you can't just apply safety rules to everything that appears to be a gun, because you're not going to be able to make movies that way. Okay. Now, on the other hand, right, you got people saying that all guns on the film set should be fake guns, right? Incapable of shooting. Well, how do you make a gun fake, right? What do? Do you take out the firing pin? Well, it's take out the firing pin, right? You can always put the firing pin back in there, right? Do you block the barrel so that it won't chamber a real round? Well, it's really easy to remove the barrel, all right, right? Because basically, guns are kind of like Lego block systems. So yeah, I can put a fake barrel in there, and then I can put a real barrel in there. So taking out the firing pin, or removing the barrel, that's not gonna change things, right? Simply saying that all guns on a movie set should be fake guns. I mean, here's the thing: this gun started off as a fake gun, right? When this gun over here, which is a real gun that actually fires, when this gun started off, okay, this is what it looked like. All right, it looked like it was in fact a fake gun like this. You can see how there's a channel block there, so that a barrel will not fit in there, right? So that gun, which is a real gun, started its life off as a fake gun, and then I modified it into a real gun, which is perfectly legal. So having simply saying that all guns on the movie set must be fake guns, I mean, that by itself is not the answer, because any fake gun can, be modified into a real gun. And the other thing is that in order for the movie to be realistic, the gun has to be realistic itself. Okay, kind of a side note, but one of the things I tell people is that in order for the movie to be any good, the director has to convince you that what's happening is real. And that's one of the reasons why I say that people today watching these action thrillers, right, where people are killing each other, they're no different than the people sitting in the Roman Colosseum 2,000 years ago, watching, gladiators fight each other to the death, right? Because those people sitting in the Colosseum, they were seeing people actually kill each other and get killed. When we're watching a movie where people are getting killed, in that moment, we're actually believing that that person is being killed, right? So that's just kind of a side note that people really haven't changed over 2,000 years. Same way that people were entertained 2,000 years ago in the Colosseum, they're entertained today watching people get killed in movies. But the point of the thing is that in order for the movie to be any good, the director has to convince you that what you're seeing is real. Okay, now to that effect, the gun has to look real. And the actor has to handle the gun in a real way. So what that means is that in order for a film to be shot effectively, and for it to be convincing, it makes sense that an actor would actually have to train just like an hour, maybe, or a couple of hours prior to the filming, maybe actually shoot the real gun, so that when they get on the film set and they're now shooting, let's say, a prop gun, right, like this, or a fake gun, the recoil, right, even though this won't have any recoil, they're acting in a similar way. So unless they actually experience the real gun, they're not going to know how to handle a real, how to handle the scene, how to make it look realistic. So you do have to, in order for a modern day film to be any good, and it has to be done in such a way that it can convince the audience. Okay. So what am I getting at here? Okay, basically, what's the solution to this? The solution to this is that all actors that are involved in gun scenes, right, they need to make themselves gun experts. Okay, they need to get that level of training. They have to go to gun ranges. They have to train with people that are gun experts, and get to the point where they can pick up a gun. All right. Pick up a gun, drop the magazine, open it up, look in the chamber, and see that this gun is not loaded, okay? So here's the thing. Here I have a red gun that kind of looks fake, right? Because it's a red gun. Well, this is a real gun, all right? Likewise, here I have a blue gun, right? And a lot of times people associate a blue gun with a fake gun, but no, this is a real gun. It actually shoots, So now, on the other hand, here I have a black gun that looks really real. Okay, so let's say I take out the magazine. I look at that magazine, I'm like, this magazine doesn't look like what a magazine would normally look like to accept real ammunition. Let me open up the slide and look in the chamber. Oh, wait a second. I'm opening up the slide. I'm looking in the chamber. Wait, oh, there is no chamber. This whole thing is fake over here. Okay, so through experience of handling real guns, an actor would be able to, to pick up a prop, all right, and check it themselves before the filming and make sure that the gun's actually not loaded or the gun's not operable. But ultimately, that responsibility is with the person that's handling the firearm. They're the last line in that gun safety. They have to check the gun themselves. So the things that I'm hearing about, gun safety rules, right? Keep the gun in safe direction, finger off trigger until you're ready to shoot, all guns always loaded. Well, that's not going to work in filming, because in filming, I have to be able to point this gun over here that's fake but looks like a real gun. I have to be able to point it at a person and make it look convincing that this action scene is actually happening. But before we do that, we want to check the gun. The actor himself has to check the gun and check it to make sure that it's in fact not loaded. Okay. Now, from what I hear, this movie that was being shot was placed in is being placed somewhere in the 1900s, and there's a good chance that they were using black powder revolvers, like this black powder revolver over here. All right, so again, you get, the actor would have to train with these guns, shoot these guns, to be able to look down the chamber, through the face of the chamber, and see that, hey, there's a lead ball in there. this gun is loaded, okay? So there's something in there, okay? Versus this cap and ball revolver over here, I can look down the chamber and see, no, look, there's nothing in there. This gun is not loaded, okay? Now, what happens if they're loading the gun with blanks, right? Or like even with these black powder guns, okay? Because you could put black powder in there, right? And then you could put like a some type of a wad, you know, like a wad in the front over here. So there's no lead ball in there, so but there's still gunpowder in there. Well, at what distance is this gun to shoot with real black powder, but with no lead projectile? Well, you know what? You got to test that out. You got to actually put a piece of paper at different distances and figure out what that distance is. You know, certainly at 30 yards over there, yeah, this wouldn't be dangerous, but at point blank range, you know, gunpowder, real gunpowder with some type, you know, with a wad in there just to hold the gunpowder in this place is dangerous. Okay, so this is something that the actor himself has to experiment with, has to actually test out and convince himself that the tool that he's using, you know, for this particular exercise is doing is in fact safe, right? So this kind of falls down, you know, falls upon the actor, the person that's actually you know going to be holding the gun. Now another example I'm gonna bring out. Let's look at these two swords here, right? Right here I have a sharp sword, right? That's a sharp blade. Okay, over here on this hand I have a blunt sword. Okay, so this is a type of sword that we could use for training or for stage fighting. Okay, so even though this is not a sharp sword, right, I can run my hands up and down here. Well, over here I got a piece of wood, right, and okay, I just look at the neck I just put in that piece of wood right there. Okay, so if I had done that to the side of somebody's head, I would kill him. Okay, but here's the thing, through you know, and everybody knows that this blunt sword, right, is deadly, right? Because it's a long steel rod. Because everybody's kind of familiar with the idea that, hey, any long steel rod, a crowbar, a shovel, you know, is going to be dangerous if you swing it at somebody's head. People are going to take precautions in stage fighting. So if the director on the film set told an actor to do something dangerous with this blunt sword, they would say, no, that doesn't make any sense. That sounds like it's going to hurt that person, or I won't have enough control, right? Because the type of, there's basically there's usually three mechanisms that they use with stage fighting. One is that instead of, they don't make contact, so whereas here I'm making contact, here I'm not making contact, right? So what I'm doing is I'm actually stopping the blow about a foot in front of the target area, but from the view of the camera you can't tell the difference. The other thing is they'll stand out of range, right? So from here, right, you know, from your view it looks like I can hit that wood, but hey, I actually cannot hit the wood. I'm actually out of range. That's the second mechanism that they'll use. The third is they do things really slow. So in the real fight, you know, I want to swing the sword as fast as possible, right? You know, I want to change direction, start my blow here, and then strike in another direction to be deceptive. Well, in stage fighting, they slow things down. They make these big, slow, you know, for two benefits, two reasons why they do this. Number one, the audience is actually able to see the blade move. So if you're watching a movie where you can actually see the blade move, right, like that, all right, that's slowed down, like really slow. That's not real fighting. In real fighting, you can't see the blade move. So that does two things. Number one, by slowing it down, the audience, they're actually able to see the blade. And number two, the other actor is able to see the blade. And if I make a catastrophic mistake, like I say my aiming is really off, well, because I'm going slower, the other actor has time to react. Okay, so here's the thing. Actors are going to know what a steel rod does. So if the director tells an actor to do something unusual or out of the ordinary or beyond their ability to control the blade, they're going to be like, no, that doesn't sound like a good idea. I'm going to kill that person, right? Well, that's because they have familiarity with what a long steel rod can do to somebody's head, okay? So the problem with modern day Hollywood actors is because a lot of them don't train with guns, they have no idea, you know, of what is a real gun, what's not a real gun, how to take out the magazine, look in the chamber to make sure that this gun is not loaded. So the solution is that all gun actors have to make themselves gun experts. They have to invest the time, because ultimately that safety comes down to them. Okay, and you can't just modify the gun and say, hey, we're going to put in there a fake barrel, or we're going to take out the firing pin, because all those things can be changed. You know, like I said earlier, this gun started off as a fake gun. Okay, that gun was started off like this gun over here. Okay, which has a channel block, right? And what I did is I removed the channel block, and I filed this down, and I turned this fake gun into a real gun, right? So using fake guns is not the answer. Screaming at people about gun safety rules is not going to be effective if you're making a movie, because if you're making a movie, you have to have people pointing fake guns at each other. Okay, so those aren't the answers. The answer is that all actors that are involved with gun scenes have to make themselves gun experts, so that they themselves can check the gun and make sure that it is not dangerous. And not just the gun, any tool, whatever they're going to be, even if you're going to be using a chainsaw or a drill or whatever, they have to check it themselves. The responsibility falls on them. So let's I kind of made some notes here to help us along here. So who's responsible? The person holding the gun's responsible. Okay. All actors must basically make themselves gun experts if they're going to be working with guns. They do need to train with live fire, all right? And they also have to train with role-playing scenes. So here's the thing, and I'll use this as an example. Let's talk about role-playing for a second. Here's the thing, in gun training, we're either using real guns and fake targets, right, like I got over there, or we're using fake guns and real targets with people. So one of the things that I will do with people using a fake gun like this, we will do role playing, right? Where we're basically, you know, we're actually pointing the fake gun at a person and teaching them how to react, teaching them how to get the gun offline, move their body and stuff like that. So, you know, there's an example of, hey, gun safety rules cannot apply in this specific instance, right? So you can't just scream gun safety rules at people, because there's certain instances, even with modern day gun training on a gun range like this, where we have to basically you know, say, okay, for this exercise we're using a fake gun, and we're actually going to be pointing the fake gun at you, and we're going to be teaching you a certain exercise of how to get the gun, you know, to move the gun offline, to move your body. So you can't just scream gun rules at these actors, because that's just not how movies are done. Okay, so actors need to train with both live fire and also with fake guns in role-playing scenes, which is basically acting. They have to inspect their own equipment, all equipment. I mean, I don't care if they're going to be jumping out of an airplane with a parachute. They gotta basically check their parachute to make sure that their parachute's going to work. Okay, and if they don't know how to check a parachute and inspect it, they have to learn how to check a parachute and inspect it. Okay, that's you know, if you're going to be jumping out of airplanes, that's what you have to learn to do. Okay, gun safety rules are not enough. All right, I talked about that. They have to gain familiarity with the guns, so that when the gun safety rules are not in play, right, because they're filming a scene where they're pointing guns at each other, they're able to inspect the guns in advance, right, and make sure that they're not real guns. So the fake guns are not enough, right? So just saying that we're only going to use fake guns is not the answer, because any fake gun can be converted into a real gun. You know, and sometimes they have to actually use real guns. You know, if they want to get like a certain type of effect, right, they'll actually go to a gun range or set up a gun range where they can actually do live fire, because there's just certain movie scenes where you need real guns, right, to get the effect that they need, right? Obviously, they're not shooting, because here's the thing: either if you're using real guns, you're not using real targets, right? Or if you're using real targets, you're not using real guns. All right, so fake guns are not enough. Now here's the thing, and this is the most important part of all this, right? Actors must embrace and love the gun community, right? If they want to be part of our gun community, because that's what when they're making a movie that involves guns, they're coming into our world, okay? This is our world. They got to basically learn from us. And this kind of like, let's say I wanted to teach baseball or something, right? Well, I gotta go, you know, or make a movie, let's say about baseball. Well, I gotta go talk to baseball players. I gotta embrace baseball or some other sport or whatever, right? So if actors want to do movies that involve guns, they have to basically come into the gun community with an open mind, with an open heart, and talk to us and you know, and basically embrace our culture, because what they're doing is they're coming into our culture, right? They're taking our guns, really, right? Our tools, so that they can make money, but they're not taking everything else that comes along with that, like understanding how to check the equipment and make sure that the equipment is safe to use, right? And finally, the great thing here is when they come into our community to learn about, to learn about gun safety. Well, that's our turn to teach them about the value of gun rights, right? So this kind of works both ways. You know, when they come to us for gun training, yes, we'll give them that gun training and keep them safe, but we're also going to teach them a little bit about the Second Amendment, about why it exists. So this is a means for us to exchange ideas, and for them to to really start to understand, start to understand the gun culture, right? So I hope this video was useful. I hope it gets, I hope the right people see it so that they can understand how to fix this problem that they have, right? And it's not just screaming gun rules at people, and it's not just saying that we're going to only use prop guns, because neither of those two things are going to work for what they're trying to do, which is to make convincing movies. They need something else, and the thing that they need to do, which I probably said a couple of times already in this video, the thing that they need to do is the actors themselves that are handling the guns have to become gun experts so that they can check the equipment and make sure that it is safe. Okay, so drop some comments below. I'd love to hear from you guys. Give me a thumbs up. Share this video. Try to get it to the people that need to learn this information. And if you're not a member of my channel, subscribe. Talk to you guys soon.